It's rather patronizing, number one, but I guess the fundamental thing, I guess, that I have a problem with is that we are the bridge building, road building authority. We got $3 million to build a bridge. And I guess my question is, if there was a grant out there to pay for the engineering, why are these people?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call this joint meeting of the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners and Grand Traverse County Road Commission, a special meeting to order. If we could all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
And we should hire the engineer and be
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You do roll call, please.
Commissioner Inman?
Here.
Lathrop?
Here.
Maxbauer?
Here.
Rennie?
Here.
Thomas?
Yep.
Wheeler?
Yes, ma'am.
Brown?
Yes, here.
McKellar?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
Mauser?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Chairman Lemkool?
Here. Thank you very much. Because this is more of an informational meeting, I'm going to limit the public comment period to 15 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night long with that. We have another meeting that starts at 7 o'clock after this. So we want to get the information from the Road Commission as to what's going on, and I'm sure the public would like to see that too. But we also want to give you time to be able to talk. So if you can kind of keep your comments, I'm going to keep that down to 15 minutes. If you'd read the rules, please, I would appreciate it.
Any person shall be permitted to address the meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act as amended. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. A, any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. B, no person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions. The chairman shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak.
Thank you. So if you can be considerate about your comments, and remember that other people would like also to make comments, I would appreciate that. So anybody like to make public comment right now is available. I would appreciate coming forward. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Commissioner. Kimberly Pontius, 9372 East Summerfield Drive, Traverse City. That's an Elmwood Township address. And I apologize, I have to leave immediately because I have an Elmwood Township Planning Commission meeting that I have to get to, so I'll keep this brief. I caution us not to compare apples to oranges. There is a difference between replacement and new, and a distinction between local connection and a regional corridor. Replacement of Cass Road Bridge has been well vetted and has received MDOT funding specifically for bridge replacement. If we do not move forward with this project, that money will go away. Any alternative new construction will put us many more years down the line and require millions of dollars more than what we are talking about now. In the meantime, we would lose an economically critical local connection, creating economic hardship for public and private enterprise in Grand Traverse County. Cass Road Bridge replacement and Hartman-Hammond, or an alternative east-west regional solution, serve different purposes and as such should be separate discussions. I encourage your support of regional transportation planning, including in-depth exploration of an east-west crossing. However, I emphatically ask you right now, tonight, the county continue its long-standing endorsement of the Cass Road Bridge replacement. Please do not abandon this critical local connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Chuck Corn, 4111 Summerhill Road, Traverse City, Michigan. I'm not asking anybody to abandon anything. I'm asking for some time for the community to talk about what we want to do. I think we have an opportunity to create a transportation system that works well as opposed to what we have now. I'm hoping that rather than rush to make a decision now, money won't disappear if we don't make a decision today. I'd love to have the whole community involved in the decision. Thank you.
Anybody else? Please.
Hi, I'm Paul Soma, 9965 East Avondale Lane, Elmwood Township. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer for TCAPS. I'm here on behalf of TCAPS to provide input, and I have a letter that I'll read for the record and then hand off to whoever to take it. We have been asked to provide input on this for consideration for the County Board and the County Road Commission. In providing this input, I'm going to cut this paragraph short in respect to the time. I want to acknowledge to the Road Commission our appreciation for the work that they do with TCAPS, both in understanding the east-west connection and how important it is to TCAPS. They're very well aware of the impact that it will have on our operations, have asked on numerous occasions and have kept us in the loop on the dialogue. And in addition to that, the Road Commission provides us a lot of very good services, especially in the winter months. I wanted to say thank you for that. In specific response to the issue in front of you, these are the points that I make in this letter. TCAPS does not have the expertise in the area of bridge construction and cannot therefore comment on the condition of the bridge or the potential remaining useful life. It does concern us that weight restrictions in place currently do not allow for buses to cross the bridge with passengers on board. In other words, our buses can only use this route when they are empty. Secondly, a second point, if the Cass Road Bridge or any other east-west connector in this area were to become unusable or non-existent, it would have material negative impact on the budget of the school system. We have estimated the cost of rerouting buses to exceed $125,000 annually. Third out of 4 bullet points, considering the negative impact the loss of an east-west connector would have on TCAP's bottom line, we feel that it is imperative that any solution to this problem must minimize the amount of time the east-west connector is not available. Any solution that creates a long downtime would be detrimental to the operations of our school system. And finally, we feel that any solution to this problem must allow safe passage of buses in fully loaded condition. In other words, the new east-west connector should not have the same weight restrictions as are currently in place. And if that was to occur, that would have a positive bottom line impact for TCAPS. And I'll gladly hand this to our, okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Ann?
Ann Rogers, a city resident, county taxpayer, and currently the chair of NEMEAC, Northern Michigan Environmental Action Council. NEMEAC's role in this has been long and steady. For 10 years, we've talked. We collaborated with the Sierra Club, Coalition for Sensible Growth, a paddling group, and a fishermen's group in opposing the Hartman-Hammond connection on environmental reasons. I'm very disturbed that this is coming back again. NEMEAC was very involved in the beginnings of the Grand Vision, and the Grand Vision came out of the canceling of the Hartman-Hammond connection and putting the money into a regional study of transportation. And it has been working. It has brought environmentalists, road people, business people together to talk about what is really needed in this area. You know, I'm really concerned that there's some motive behind this, and I would really challenge you. I wonder who stands to profit from this, that it's coming back again.
Lisa Kropa, 5361 Heritage Way. I'm a chairperson of the Garfield Township Parks and Rec Commission and a member of Grand Traverse County Parks and Rec. And I urge you to look at it from the Parks and Rec perspective, just because that's my only area of expertise. We spent a long time on plans for the Boardman River and the restoration of the river, the Boardman Valley Nature Preserve, the strategic removal of the dams, and the order in which we wanted to do them. So first of all, by dismissing the idea of Hartman-Hammond, we're then rearranging the idea of the order of the dam removal, which is a concern to us. Studies have shown that if the bridge is rebuilt over Cass Road, we will be displacing about 2 acres of our Boardman Valley Nature Preserve, which is what we all work together for to provide. a Hartman-Hammond bridge would displace about a half acre of wetlands. So that's just kind of some of the statistics on the other side of the environmental part of it. I guess I just urge you to think about what our park plan was, what our vision was for the river, why we removed the dams in the first place. We've already started. It's not stopping. There's no hurry in taking out this bridge, no hurry in taking out this dam. Let the citizens have some time to take a look at it and piggyback on some of the hard work for the years that the Parks Commissioners have done. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bob Featherstone, and I'm on the Garfield, in Garfield Township, and I live on Burnley Estates Drive. And I'm directly aware of how much traffic and what a problem it is out there. Because that section of town is just kind of deadlocked. You got to go one way or the other. Coming in here tonight, I see cars lined up on Keystone Road as far as you can see. And if you think that's not causing pollution and all those cars sitting there idling and running, and then I get to Airport Road and it's the same thing. Something has to be done with those corridors out there to get traffic moving and make it more viable community. Because you're kind of locked in there, and wherever you go, you got to go along this way or around this way. And something should be done, and I think we should take time to look at this to make sure it works for the community. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kelly Thayer. I live in Frankfurt. I work for an employer here in Grand Traverse County. And I know some of you, I haven't seen you in a while. I've been active on this issue since 1998 when I began working for the Michigan Land Use Institute and left there in 2005, but have remained very active on transportation issues. I'm the immediate past chair of the Benzie Bus Board of Directors for the last 3 years. And I come here as a private citizen. I want to say a couple of things. The first is that it strikes me, I'll echo Ann's word in saying this is disturbing, both the way this has come back and when it has come back. The week in which Helen Milliken is memorialized, the person who is the most outspoken against this bridge project. The week of Smart Commute Week, Tri-Transit Day today. The region's moving in a different direction than this. We have looked at this environmentally as a region. We hired Dr. Barb Madsen from the University of Michigan to look at the wetlands. And despite the claim of a half-acre impact that we just heard from a Hartman-Hammond proposal, it's tens of acres. That's in writing. We've submitted it to both of your bodies. That's why, it's one of the reasons why the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the State Department of Environmental Quality, all have objected. None of them have lifted those objections. It's because of the damage. Environmentally, it's a disaster. It's a fill bridge that would fill up the Boardman River Valley. That's the proposal. It's not some high bridge that magically floats in air. Fills the valley, sits on top. $55 million bridge in 2004. How much does that cost now? How much would it cost if you didn't put it on fill? 100 million? We need fiscally conservative approaches, and that's what people have asked for. The way we got here was in 2004 when this was rejected by all those agencies, groups got together with the county, sat down first privately, then publicly, and said, we need a better process to look at land use and transportation. And we agreed before we knew what that process would be called or where it would go that we would live with the results. That process became the Grand Vision. 12,000 people participated. And they said, we want to fix things that we have first. We want to be fiscally conservative. We can fix things for a lot less than $75 or $100 million and get traffic flow going. $55 million in 2004. Those folks participated. The Grand Vision's alive and well. It just surveyed your county residents as well as the 5 other counties that participated. And 70 to 80% of folks in all of the counties said, we want smart, small steps to get things flowing. And we want choices. So things have happened since then, like the Benzie bus system has been launched since then. People voted to tax themselves to launch the bus system. They renewed that tax in 2011, 75% in favor. Beta,
75% in favor in the renewal. Antrim County, 75% in favor. The public has spoken. We've looked at the environment together. We've looked at the economics together. We figured this out. Let's fix the Cass Road Bridge. Let's get Beitner Keystone working together. But let's not keep revisiting something that would take all of the federal transportation dollars that you can muster in the next 2 decades and pour it into one bridge. It's not fiscally conservative. It's environmentally very damaging. And it's against what the public has asked for. Thank you.
Got room for 2 more comments.
Thank you very much. My name is John R. Williams. I live at 873 Peninsula Drive in Traverse City, a local yokel. Lived here all my life. Back when the zoo train debate was out a little while ago, I wrote a letter to the road commissioners and the road commission chairman at that, or the operator at that time. I had a multiple solution idea for the city, for the county, and a number of things that all happened at once. And the thought was that we could not only create a better bridge at Cass Road, but make it a multimodal bridge, which would incorporate taking the rail line that currently comes up just south of the soccer fields, turn across Cass Road, utilize and build a new bridge there that's multimodal, that demonstrates that Grand Traverse County can do something really special, and we would make a new motorist bridge, tie it in with the train bridge right next to it, make a pedestrian bicycle bridge along with it, and also have an area for wildlife to flow across. So you could have all 4 modes of users using an area right there at the current dam. That way the train could then snake, and the city needs to remove a Y over at 14th Street. A Y is allow us a train to turn around. You could move that Y from downtown at the city south to that area at the south end of Cass Road. So the train, which now has to go to Grawn, it's the only place it goes, now currently has to come all the way up through Traverse City and out to Grawn. You could just run it right across right there, get it right back on there, and it would create a Y. So if the train did need to come into town, it would come in on the heavy line on the west side, would come right past the depot, and continues out the way it needs to go when it goes to out at the east end of town, where it does go to Schultz, Snyder, and Steele in Acme or Williamsburg. So that could use a lot of different uses all in one place, and the government would probably go, wow, look at you guys, you're really doing something smart here. It also then would cause the non-use of the whole east side of the railroad tracks currently that run from the soccer fields north. Those could be abandoned, and it could become the TART trail all the way from the library all the way down to the soccer fields, and you gain a non-motorized area with tunnels under the road and everything, and it allows people to flow back and forth from downtown out to the soccer fields and then River Road and south, and potentially clear around the Boardman, and it takes you to the nature area that way. So that it solves the railroad Y, it solves everybody crossing at Cass Road, and it gives us bicycle, the TART east side for a huge north-south, which we have no north-south connection through the town right now. So if you want to be wise about things and we can be blessed and use our area the best, that's what I would propose, and you don't need Hammond Hartman. Thank you.
Doug, you want to talk?
Doug DeYoung, 3675 Village Circle. I'm also here as a representative of the Chamber of Commerce in Traverse City. The Chamber has traditionally and actively advocated for both bridges and the replacement of both bridges, primarily because we feel there are 2 different economic viabilities for both bridges, and there are 2 different access needs for both bridges. We continue to support that at this time, primarily focused in on the fact that there is money in place for one of the bridges at this time, and still discussions as to where the money would come for the second bridge. We will continue to support both bridges. We believe they both have great opportunity for this region in the future, but let's look at where the money is right now and where we can fix the need that we currently have in this community, and that's all we would ask at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to thank you very much for your public comment. I'm sorry I have to kind of limit that, as I'd like to have more opportunity to be able to do it. Maybe at another meeting we can bring forward and have more public comment, but I think it's really important that we start the dialogue between the road commission and the county commissioners as to what's really happening here. And I think that's what we're here to learn more about what is there, what the possibilities are. Chris, do you have a?
Yeah, I would just like to offer everyone, immediately following this meeting is public health and safety, and there will be a public comment period during that meeting before we start our regular public health and safety. You're welcome to stay for that. And I do want to mention Linda Forwork, the supervisor of Fife Lake Township, asked me, she could not be here tonight, she's traveling. She asked me to state that she is in favor of the Hammond-Hartman Bridge, and to quote her words, which are, her citizens want a more direct route for emergency services. So I've quoted Linda for her request.
Okay, so I'm going to open this down to Jim Cook, the Director of the Road Commission. If you would kind of bring us about as to where we're at, what's going on, where's the Road Commission stand with this, and what you're looking for in the future.
Okay, good evening. I'm Jim Cook. I'm the manager of the Road Commission here in Grand Traverse County. Well, I am the new guy. I think I've been here a little over 6 months, but truthfully, I've been coming here since I was about 8 years old. I am a trout fisherman. I am an outdoors person, and but I'm also an engineer, and so I can tell you, in all the years that I've been coming up here, you know, I've been dragging a boat behind me down Division and along the bay, and for years I read about the Hammond-Hartman Bridge, and again, from an engineering perspective, when you look at the traffic and the congestion, whether it's the Hammond-Hartman Bridge or another crossing, I really do feel that another east-west connection makes a lot of sense. That's my opinion. I'm not sure that's the Road Commission's opinion, but so where we are today is we have funding to replace I'll call it a road that crosses over the top of a dam on Cass Road, and that's kind of where we're at. My commissioners have been discussing, is that the right, is that the right investment of the money that we have? Because if we were going to do another crossing, I think there is a concern that, does it make sense to have two crossings? Does it limit us financially one way or the other? And as of last night, we did have a special meeting, a work session, but we did have some action items during that work session, and the commissioners did vote not to support the Cass Road Bridge project. So that's kind of where we're at.
Dave?
I attended that meeting last night also, and I came away with a different impression of what the road commissioners did. They, in my opinion, from listening to their dialogue, they didn't want to vote on anything until after this meeting. They really wanted to kind of give it time to hear all the points of view. My understanding of what we were doing tonight is to try and figure out whether this grant should be accepted for the Cass Road Bridge. And as a member of the IT implementation team for taking out the Boardman River dams, this is how this all got started. Because the Conservation Resource Alliance applied for this grant and got critical bridge funds, I believe it is, critical bridge funds, to go around the current bridge. Right now, the natural channel for the Boardman River is about 500 feet to the east of the current one-lane bridge. And the Army Corps of Engineers, in doing their feasibility study, determined that that would be the most cost-effective way of going around that, to reroute the river and build a much cheaper bridge than trying to reconstruct the one that's currently is one lane. Now, Commissioner Thomas brought this meeting to reality by talking about the possibility of abandoning the railroad tracks that run along Cass Road and then south toward Beitner Road. And there's a connection, I can't remember the name, Hodge Road, is it?
Williams Road.
Williams
Yeah.
Road.
Williams.
Road. So at any rate, you could, in his argument is that you could pave that and make a road out of it. It would be cheaper to pave a road and maintain a road than it would be to create a bridge and maintain a bridge. And you wouldn't have to go through the Boardman River at all. You just go around it. Then there's everybody knows a lot of arguments have been bandied back and forth for many years about the Hartman-Hammond connection. So from the implementation team's perspective, we have just interviewed and are cogitating on which engineers are going to build this, remove the dam and perhaps replace a bridge or put in a new bridge and figure out what we're going to do with the existing channel. The existing channel is an extreme slope. It's not the natural channel of the river, and it needs to be basically closed off. And the new route is like I said, 500 feet to the east. Once we do that, you've got a more natural flow of the river, less sediment comes down the river. There's a lot of things to think about in this whole process. We need to, one, as we go to select our engineer for this project and get moving on the removal of the dams, which, oh, by the way, and I put 4 pieces of paper on your, 4 packets of paper on your desks that say that this is a high hazard, a potentially high hazard dam, both the Boardman and the Sabin dams, and we are under some orders from the Department of Environmental Quality. We entered into a consent agreement in 2007, this board did, to remove those dams by the Boardman Dam by December 2012. If we were going to continue to use them as dams, we needed to make that decision in 2010. And if you look at the paperwork, you'll see that right now we're living on borrowed time. They wanted it out. We had to respond and say, well, we're still working on it. We just removed the Brown Bridge, and we're getting started on the removal process for the Boardman dams, or Boardman Dam and the Sabin Dam. And if we don't show progress, there is a fear that they'll close the bridge off anyway. They'll just say, okay, that's enough. But, that's an unknown. We don't know that. Another thing we don't know is whether the $3.2 million, or whatever the number is, that of grant that is in critical bridge funds, if that could be moved to a different project in the county. There are some people that think that it can. The Road Commission engineer has information from the Department of Transportation that says that it can't be moved, that it will be moved to another project somewhere else in the state. So that's something you have to consider, and it's an unknown. We don't know whether it can be moved. Some people say it can. Well, maybe it can. But those are some of the considerations I wanted you to think about. I have no skin in the game. I don't think the IT has any skin in the game. What we need soon from the Road Commission and the County Board of Commissioners is a decision to either build that bridge on Cass Road, over the river and on Cass Road, or to abandon that road and let us get to work demolishing the dams on the precept that the road will not be constructed, or the bridge will not be constructed. Until you make that decision, or until some decision is made, we really can't move forward and tell our engineers what they're supposed to do next. So that's kind of where we are. And we have several members of the IT here that if they want to add anything, if I've missed anything in the whole process, Frank Deturi, our chair, is here. Would you like to add to that at all, Frank?
Can I ask the manager a quick question? Is the Cass Road Bridge 100% funded, Jim? I mean, where Grand Traverse County would not have to put in any money?
There is a match.
It's a match. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
20, is that 20%?
5% plus.
There's two different ways, depending on who administers the project, that it could be two different amounts on the match.
Yeah, I think it's a 5% match if we use the Corps of Engineers, and then if it was MDOT, I'm not sure if that's a...
I don't think the Corps will accept that as a part of the project. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Jim Johnson, our highway engineer, could maybe just come up and, he's the guy that knows about the
5%
funding.
plus engineering.
Jim Johnson with the Road Commission. We have in place, it's approximately a $3 million grant where it's a 5% match. And that grant amount does not include any required design fee services or construction oversight services. So you have 5% of $3 million that will need to be obtained in some fashion, as well as the design and construction oversight and project closeout fees.
Have you got a ballpark of what it will cost Grand Traverse County rebuilding the Cass Road Bridge?
I believe there's...
I have no idea what design and stuff costs, so that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been looked at that carefully. I know that there's preliminary numbers out there in regards to the cost of the bridge and some preliminary numbers of equating to about $3 million. So it looks like we're matched with what we have with the grant. Engineering design fees can range depending on the site conditions. 10 to 15% is kind of my best guess.
That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Frank Katuri.
Thank you.
I am speaking on behalf of the implementation team, and just wanted to make sure you folks understood that the IT is committed to helping the dam owners move forward with the removal of the next two dams and modification of the third. That's the prime concern of the implementation team is dam removal. The removal of the Boardman Dam meets not only the requirements of the consent order, but the spirit of a long-term planning effort to benefit the community by providing public safety and providing environmental and economic benefits for a more natural, free-flowing Boardman River. I think Dave pretty much hit all the points.
I also wanted to mention that we've already received $250,000 from the Fry Foundation. The CRA has gotten $357,000 plus from the Natural Resources Dam Management Program. The Grand Traverse Band is up to $370,000 from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So we are pending some requests to the Great Lakes Fish and Wildlife Restoration Act for about $500,000, and then sustain our Great Lakes program for $1.5 million. So the CRA is actively raising funds to do this project and to actually get the match portion of the road. And one thing it doesn't include in the dollars that right now that we have to remove the dams is the removal of the powerhouses, but that's another matter that we'll take up later. But right now, everyone's focused on getting these numbers together and getting sponsors to pay for the removal of the dam so that the county or the Road Commission doesn't have to pay any general fund dollars for it.
Larry, I think I saw your her hand up first.
I have a question and a comment. I want to clarify, if I could, from the Road Commission, whether you did or did not take formal action at your last night's meeting regarding a recommendation for either the Cass Bridge replacement or the Hartman-Hammond option.
I'd like to answer that.
Because it sounded like it was discussion, and then somebody represented there was a vote, and so...
There was a vote last night, but it was a resolution to accept a grant for $325,000 for design work on the bridge.
Okay.
That came to me on Monday, and I put it on the agenda for Tuesday, and we changed it from a work session to a open meeting. We discussed it. We have seen no paper on it. We really don't know exactly what it was, other than we were told we're under a time frame to accept it, or in 30 days they're going to lose it. I, with any conscience at all and not seeing anything other than being told, could not support that with no documentation. I want to know what I'm supporting. And there was 3 other members that voted the same as I did not to accept that. And we still have 30 days to do that. And we have a meeting at the end of the month. But I don't think that most people would vote for something when you have nothing in front of you that you know what you're voting on.
No, that's going to be, that's why I brought up the question, is that my understanding was that this was a, preliminary discussion, but...
It was a resolution for design of the bridge.
All right, okay.
That's what it was.
All right. I guess my comment...
That we would accept that.
Yeah.
And this grant is going to be lost in 30 days, so they say, but I haven't seen any documentation to prove that.
Okay.
So that was what the resolution was voted on and voted down.
Okay, well, I appreciate that explanation. I guess my opinion on this is that this issue regarding the county's involvement because of our process with the removal of the dams has brought us into discussion because of our current plan to move forward with the replacement of the Cass Bridge versus something that has just come recently, and that is, do we need to take a look at the Hartman-Hammond connection that was proposed 10 years ago that was supported somewhat by the community, but received a lot of environmental group action in terms of legal action and opposition that was extensive to the point where both the Road Commission and the County Commission and the community just decided to let it go. So I guess my point is that my recommendation is before the Road Commission or the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners move forward with any kind of action on this item, is that we need to sit down and have a more extensive meeting, and I would like to see as one commissioner the pros and cons of both concepts, and somebody's got to be prepared to discuss that. And I want to see a recommendation from the implementation team and the pros for that recommendation. And so I would have enough information to make a determination which would be the best course, and I think that I would hope that Road Commission would do that. And to do that, we would need much more extensive public input than we would able to have tonight for 15 minutes because of our time frame of our meeting at 7 o'clock. So if we're under the gun for 30 days, my suggestion is that we set up a meeting where we're not connected with another meeting, and let's get the pros and cons of these concepts back. Let's have a presentation, let's have more extensive public comment and viewpoint, and then we can have our dialogue and move forward and try to make a decision. So I think that's the process I'd like to see, because I'm not ready tonight to form any kind of opinion.
John had his name up.
You can tell by where they put the mic that I was the one vote in support of the resolution last night as a road commissioner. I have the resolution in front of me. The resolution basically says supporting the design of a crossing over the Boardman River, which means the replacement of the Cass Road Bridge. Yes, it was tied to a grant, but nowhere in the resolution does it say that. In February of 2011, the Road Commission voted unanimously to support the same resolution. 2 years later, we're voting to reject the resolution. In those 2 years, a lot of things have been done. Work has been done, design work has been done, money has been spent, and money has been acquired by the Road Commission to replace the Cass Road Bridge, based on a 2011 resolution that's very similar, almost exactly the same as the resolution that was rejected last night. Just if I may indulge you with some prepared remarks. The responsible action to take is to replace the important east-west connection across the Boardman River now, with and in partnership with the IT of the Boardman River Removal Project. The present Cass Road Bridge will be replaced by a fully serviceable 2-lane bridge spanning 100 feet to accommodate north-south wildlife and recreational use. This partnership process will make it easier to acquire funding, submit and acquire permits, and determine appropriate engineering criteria. Make no mistake, this process is very favorable to the Grand Traverse County Road Commission. Reconstructing the vital east-west crossing is consistent with the consultant's recommendations in the corridor report of the Grand Vision as well. Now to process. The Grand Traverse County and the Grand Traverse County Road Commission both have seats on the IT, as well as the City of Traverse City having a seat on the IT. All have been well informed as to the process of this project from the very beginning, to include the acquisition by the Road Commission of some $3 million to replace the bridge in place. And I would tell you, from my point of view, from everyone I've talked to, and I hope someone who knows more than I would stand up and say it, that $3 million cannot be moved anywhere else. It will be lost as critical bridge. And if sometime down the line we do not replace that bridge and we go back to MDOT and say, can we have some critical bridge money, there will be no critical bridge to replace, and we will not have that money available. I find it kind of odd that the process that we started some 6-7 years ago, the Grand Vision, has been subverted somehow into a process all of a sudden where people on the street are telling us that we need a Hammond-Hartman crossing. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But that's not a process. I've heard some people say that planners are saying this is the best way to go. I've yet to see a planner stand up in public and say that we need a better crossing somewhere. I've heard people say that the Grand Vision process was somehow hijacked by environmentalists, by responsible people saying that. That's a slap in the face to 12,000 people that worked and toiled to prepare the Grand Vision. So, to me, these ad hoc things that we're hearing do not comprise anything close to a transparent, public process as the Grand Vision was dedicated to do and carried out. Please, the most irresponsible action to take would be to abandon the replacement of the Cass Road Bridge and lose a vital transportation link for nobody knows how long, if not forever. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner Inman. I think that I like to do what you said. I'd also like to see us include a scenario where we might do both. I do think a lot of work has gone into that the Cass Street Bridge and the way it works with the dam removal. And I hate to see that thrown away. And I hate to see that crossing thrown away. So I agree with the man from Chamber of Commerce. I think that we should take a look at doing both. I am surprised that this comes up now when everything was planned. I'm kind of taken aback by that. So I'm hoping that that when we meet again, we can find out why we're stopping in our tracks and changing our minds right now. So that's on my mind. I want to see us take a look at doing both, and I don't want to abandon Cass this fast.
Sonny.
Well, I guess a couple points that I would make is, number one, the Boardman River Dam, which Cass Road rides over the top of, is going away. Living and working on the west side of town, we need another corridor to get to the east side of town. The industrial parks off Hammond Road, I go there at least 3, 4, 5 times a week. I think 3 times a day, as a matter of fact. It's simply, we need a corridor to get to those from the west side of town. Is Cass Road exactly perfect? I don't know that it is, but I don't know that it's not. What I do know is Cass Road is the way that we've always been accustomed to going there. And you know, when the dam goes away, the road goes away, period. It's gone. You know, we have the opportunity to rebuild the Cass Road Dam, or Cass Road Bridge, excuse me, whether it's where it's at currently or whether it's 500 feet to the east. You know, that's something we're going to have to work with the engineering part. You know, but I think we do have to go forward with the engineering of replacement of the Cass Road Dam, or Cass Road Bridge, not Cass Road Dam. We need the road. We absolutely need the road to go to the other side of the river. And, you know, sure, you know, we can all talk about, you know, we can go down along the railroad grade, go to Williams Road, but that takes us another 5-6 miles south to turn around and come back in order to do what we need to do. That's poor business. You know, we need to get the most direct route that we can to our commercial operations that are off Hammond and Hartman Road. And that is, you know, the Hartman-Hammond Bridge, God knows we've had more than an adequate amount of discussion over that a few years ago. You know, it was decided it wasn't a viable option at that time. I don't know, maybe it's still not a viable option, but the Cass Road Bridge is essential to commerce in our community.
Mr. Thomas? I agree with that.
Well, if you look at the map over here, you can see that if we could get our hands on the railroad right-of-way, which hasn't had a wheel turned on it in the last 5 years, and it doesn't go anywhere. And if I was an engineer, I wouldn't take my engine down that road because it's in such bad shape. But that's a 100-foot right-of-way that's sitting there unused. We don't need to acquire any right-of-way, and we could put a 2-lane road down there, 1.25 miles to Williams Road, and we can do that a lot cheaper than we build a bridge. So I guess that's my point. I'm just looking at the dollars of it, and most of the traffic goes north and south there, goes to Byton Road. Well, that's a 1/2 mile down Williams Road. But when I came in tonight, there was 6 cars on Cass Road. There was, I would guess, while I was on, I guess I went by about 150 on Keystone Road. So the traffic is there, and whether we like it or not, we got to do something about it. And to me, we could put that road in and have it in operation before the dam ever comes out. We could build that road next week because everything's there. All we got to do is get the right-of-way away from the state. And like I say, it's not going to be used. You go over towards Cherry Growers and there's trees growing right between the ties. That's how long it's been since there's been any traffic. They don't use it. So let's abandon it, get the state to abandon it, and put our road in. And I agree with Chuck and everybody else that says that we need another road because or another bridge. We certainly do, but it's in the future. I don't think I'm going to live long enough to see it.
Chuck?
Yeah, if we take the dam out, how long will it take to put the new bridge in? I mean, are we going to have a gap there for some period of time? 2 years? How long is that going to take?
A couple years, probably.
I mean, it would be a while, would it?
Sure. You got to engineer it.
Well, I think that depends. It depends on, you know, if we determine where the river channel is going to be and the engineering is done for that bridge, then the bridge can be closer, at least ready for construction when the dam comes out. Because that channel's not going to move to itself by itself. It's going to have to probably be excavated to put the river back where it belongs. So, you know, we can build that in. Now, you know, the Williams Road extension, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a very viable option as a detour, you know, for us to get around through there. And it's going to help some of the north-south traffic, but it's not going to help our east-west traffic.
No.
It doesn't do that.
It doesn't
You know,
help.
someone mentioned earlier about the need for a Y and how we could make it return. As part of an agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Traverse City, the Grand Traverse County Land Bank holds title to a 40-acre piece of land that used to be on the part of the Robbins property for the construction of a Y. That was required when we made application to the Department of Transportation to vacate the Y at the end of 14th, 15th Street, whatever you want to call it, it's down in there. When the city made application to abandon that Y, that we had to show that we had property to replace that Y. The county, Grand Traverse County Land Bank stepped up and purchased and holds title to land to facilitate that Y out off the end of Cass Road. So, if the Y is ever needed, we hold that land. We already have the title to it.
Chris?
We're not going to come to any conclusion tonight, but I do think that we need to have another meeting sooner rather than later. Commissioner Thomas, I would remind you that when TART came to us for a grant request, you voted no initially, and you changed your vote on the condition that they would support Dickey's plan. Nevertheless, Mr. Benda, the grants that the Grand Traverse County has received so far, are they tied to just the dam removal, or both the dam removal and the building of the bridge? The money that we actually have sitting in cash.
They're tied to dam removal. I don't know, someone from CRA is going to have to address whether any of those
I don't need an answer right now, but I would like to know.
Prohibit us from using the funds for the road.
Okay. I don't need an answer right now, but I would like to know. The other thing, quite honestly, I think Commissioner Thomas has a fairly good idea, but I think we need to move hastily rather than slowly, especially if it's going to take a year or 2 years to replace Cass Road Bridge. We've got to have some place for this traffic to go. And this would be an ideal solution. So how do we make that happen? Let's get Representative Schmidt in here and Senator Walker and whoever else we can get in here, and let's MDOT, let's get some people in here that can make a decision one way or another. John, how do you feel? I know you have historically opposed the Hammond-Hartman Bridge. How do you feel about Dick's idea?
Sorry, Dick, I just think it's a corollary to a bigger story. We need to replace an east-west existing bridge that is basically condemnable right now. We have the money for it. The permitting will be done in conjunction with the dam removal, so we don't have to deal with all these EIS and stuff like that takes years. If you're talking about a Hammond-Hartman Bridge connection, you're talking about years.
I'm talking about Dick's idea.
And I'm talking about Dick. I'm saying Dick's idea is similar to the Hammond-Hartman. It's a corollary. It's a whole separate issue. We need to replace what we have now that can be done efficiently. We have the money. We have the permitting that we can work with the Army Corps and the IT to get it done. To do these other things, you're going to need to do EIS reports. You're going to have to find funding, and it will be years. And if you don't do the Cass Road Bridge, you're going to be without an east-west crossing for years, if not forever. Because all you have to do is go back and remember what went on with the Hammond-Hartman Bridge. Everybody says the environmentalists stopped it. It wasn't. It was an 8-page report from Skip Pruss, who was the Deputy Director of DEQ, who spelled out in 8 pages all the reasons why the Hammond-Hartman Bridge cannot be permitted by DEQ. And Pete Strom and Dennis Aloya went down to Lansing, talked to them, and came back and told the Road Commission to stop funding the Hammond-Hartman Bridge because it's unviable. It will not get permitted. So my point in your answer to your question,
yes,
it's a secondary issue. I don't think it will solve the problem. It won't solve the east-west connection.
Are you opposed to his idea or not?
I can't say, I'm opposed to it at this point, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Christine, John, just to clarify, she's not saying one or the other.
No.
She's not saying one or the other. She didn't say no Cass Road Bridge. She said, are you opposed to, Dick's plan could be in conjunction with, is what she's saying.
Sure, I'm not opposed to talking about anything after we get the Cass Road Bridge replaced.
That's not what she's saying. That's not what she said.
Carl?
That's not what she said.
Let's just talk about issues
That's all right.
here.
I got it.
Okay.
But thanks, Carl.
Yes.
But you're right. I was just...
Any other road commissioners that would like to make a comment? Dr. Lathrop, go ahead.
Well, I was actually hoping for more leading from you guys about what you want to do. You're very quiet. What do you want to do? Do you want to put in the Cass Bridge or no?
I came here tonight to listen, and I've listened enough, and Dr. Lathrop, I'm going to answer your question. Is that there's nobody on the board of the road commission that opposes any of the dam removals, okay? What we're asking, though, potentially, and I'm not talking for the whole board, but the consideration of the order, that it go back to the original order of the removal, where Sabin would be the second dam and the Boardman would be the third. That would buy us some time to seriously look at what we're going to do with our crossing. That's what we're asking. The other thing is that it should be noted that our chairman started out tonight with an important thing, is that is presented to you as a body to make a decision with no facts. And your board would never do that, and neither would we. And I think we appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion. No matter how it turns out, we can all rest assured that there's been some, eye-opening discussion. I guess that's where I would leave it at that. It's just, I know we have, I appreciate the opportunity tonight to start the process of discussion, because since I've been on the board, it's been kind of like a hurry-up situation with the replacement of our crossing. And we're now, in the last maybe 6 months, getting facts, starting to get hard information. And, many of us have been involved with Grand Vision, and many of us in the past have been involved with Talus. So we've been able to gather that information, and the Grand Vision study is available for the public. They can go out and read it. But it's an opportunity for our board to work with your board to put together some of the historical facts, some of the facts that are currently occurring. And Christine hit on a great point, is the grant money that's already been applied or is going to be applied, how much of that is for the removal of the dam or the dams? That's the critical issue. That's kind of the horse right there pulling the cart. And in a way, the road commission's been swept into this because there's a piece of pavement that is over a dam that we own the right of way on. We don't own the dam. We don't own the bridge because, there really isn't a bridge there. There really isn't a bridge there. So that's where we're at, if you think you're going to walk away a little more confused tonight than you were when you came in, welcome to our world. Okay? So that's where I'll leave it at that. And I appreciate the opportunity for us to come together as two bodies. And I appreciate the comments from our citizens that are here. But when I look at the percentage of the citizenry in this room versus the percentage of the citizenry in our county, it's not represented. And so we need time. We just need time to get more input, get more people. And that's why we'd like to look at the order change.
Mark, I guess the only comment that I would want to make with this, through the whole Boardman Dam removal process or the Boardman River study process, it was very often talked about Boardman and Sabin coming out at the same time. From very early in the process, there was extensive discussion about those two dams would be taken out at the same time. So, if you're thinking that we're going to take out Sabin and then you're going to have another 1.5 or 2 years before we take out Boardman, I don't believe that's going to be the case.
Well, Sonny, what we don't know as a board is the timetables on the two that are going to be removed, because that's information that's new to me.
And that's what the IT department, the team is working on right now, is to try to determine a timeline. And right now they're in the process of doing the preliminary engineering for the removal of those two dams. But But from very early in the discussion, it's been talked about that Boardman and Saban would come out at the same time as part of the same project.
We're getting down to the end. What I would like to do is make sure that we understand that we all would like to get back together again to continue this discussion, and I'm sure the community would like to be there also at this discussion, so that we can get more information as to where we're going to go, how we're going to get there, and when the timeline is going to be able to make sure that this happens. So,
And there's one big question that I've got. How much is that bridge going to cost? I haven't heard yet.
Which one?
Cass Road Bridge.
the Cass Road Bridge, what the total cost is on that bridge is.
I don't know
So,
how much-
and I don't know if anybody has those answers at this point.
Yes.
So, but anyway, I really appreciate everybody coming. We have another meeting starting about, I'm going to say 5 minutes from now, so that we can kind of rearrange that. Thank you, road commissioners, for coming to this meeting and giving us this information. County Commissioner, we appreciate you being here. If you got more questions, please let us know.
Let's schedule another meeting.
When's the best time to schedule you?
PDQ.
Jim, you want to have your people get with our people, and we'll schedule a meeting?
Let's hurry up. Get moving on.
Motion to adjourn the meeting,
Mr. Chairman.
This meeting's adjourned.